हेलो स्टूडेंट्स, मैं वीना शर्मा, एसोसिएट प्रोफेसर डिपार्टमेंट ऑफ बॉटनी, SPC GCA. These days we are talking about biotic factors. In our previous lectures we discussed about type of biotic factors, and they are of two types: positive interactions and negative interactions. Both type of interactions, they are found in nature. And in last lecture we discussed about commensalism in positive interactions. Positive interactions are categorized into three different types. One is commensalism, mutualism, and proto-cooperation. We have discussed about commensalism in our previous talk. Today we will discuss about mutualism. In commensalism we discussed about lianas, epiphytes, and some associations between variety of microorganisms in higher microorganisms and higher plants. It means microorganisms on rhizosphere, rhizoplane, philosphere, philoplane. And now the second type of interaction is mutualism. In mutualism, both the interacting species, they benefit from each other, and they include mutually beneficial interspecific and interactions more common in the tropics. Once often a close and permanent and obligatory contact occurs between the two species. Means when in this type of relationship, plus type of relationship is there, where there is close, obligatory, and permanent contact exists for essential survival of the populations. Means when two will come closer to each other, their association will be obligatory, then only this type of relationship will occur. Means the two species, they enter into some sort of physiological exchange. Here are some examples of mutualism. First we will take the examples of most common example of mutualism is lichens. Lichens, these are close obligatory associations of algae and fungus or the fungi. Their body comprises of a matrix formed by the fungus microbiont and the algal phycobiont component. They are embedded in this fungal matrix. Just like this, you can see the diagram. This is the diagram of lichen. Here you can see the fungal hyphae. They are in close proximity or association with the algal cells or the algal colony. Both these components, they are embedded in this fungal matrix. This fungus, it provides moisture and minerals to the algae, which in turn prepares food for both these components. Lichen grow abundantly on barren rock surfaces, and neither of the two organisms, they grow independently in nature. Second type of mutualism, example of mutualism is symbiotic nitrogen fixation. Symbiotic nitrogen fixation, as you know, it's a well-known example of mutualism. The best known example is of Bacterium rhizobium. It forms nodules in the roots of leguminous plants. Here you can see the bacterial colonies or the rhizobium colonies in the nodule form on the roots of leguminous plants. They live symbiotically with the host. Bacteria rhizobium obtain food from the plant, and in turn it fixes the atmospheric nitrogen in the form of nitrates and nitrites, which makes it usable for plants. Similar root nodules, they can also occur in some other plants also, means Alnus, Casuarina, Pinus, or Eukarya. Other nitrogen fixers include blue-green algae, Anabina, nostoc, and sometimes we can see this symbiotic nitrogen fixation association in which is found in coralloid roots of Cycas, and anabenign water fern Azolla. And you are very well known about the nostoc colonies or the algal colonies in the thallus of bryophyte Anthoceros. So these are nitrogen symbiotic nitrogen fixation examples where we can see this type of mutualistic relationship. The next example of mutualism found in nature is mycorrhiza or the mycorrhizal associations. There is a mutually beneficial relationship between a fungal species and the roots of a higher plant, means higher plant roots of higher plant and the fungal mycelium. They live in close proximity and they form mycorrhizal. Myco means fungi and rhizal means roots. Mycorrhizal associations. In this type of association, this fungus, it provides water and nutrient to the plant, nutrient especially phosphorus uptake. This fungal association, this fungal species, they help in uptake of phosphorus nutrition, phosphorus mineral from the soil, because sometimes the roots of higher plants, they are unable to uptake the phosphorus element because of some physiological complications. So it helps helps in providing phosphorus or mineral nutrient to the plant, behaving as the natural substitute of root hair, and in return it gets food from the plant. Fungal hyphae may be externally present around the root and sometimes it is inside the root. So when it is present around the root, outside of the root, it is known as ectotropic mycorrhizal association. For example, in pines, oaks, hickories and beech. However, when the fungal hyphae it goes the internal side of the root tissue, they are endotropic in nature. Many orchids and member of Ericaceae they have got the endotropic fungal association. So here you can see in this diagram, this is the section of root, and outside of the root surface, this is mycelium of the fungus, and this is known as mycorrhizal association. This in endotropic mycorrhizal association, this fungi penetrates the roots and grows in between the root cells, forming finely branched arbuscules. Means the arbuscules are the sites of nutrient exchange, and swollen vesicles, they are the sites of food storage. As you know, the fungi helps roots to absorb mineral nutrient from the soil, especially the phosphorus. So these are some associations found in nature between fungi and higher plants, algae and fungi, bacteria and or blue-green algae and with higher plants, means symbiotic nitrogen fixation. Besides these common examples, there are very well-known examples of mutualism in which we can see pollination by animals. Some animals like moths, butterflies, sunbirds, they derive food from the nectar and pollen, meanwhile transferring the pollen from one flower to the other and facilitate the pollination process. And the dispersal of fruits and seeds. In dispersal of fruits and seeds, these seeds are they are commonly transported by birds and animals, and the birds and animals, they feed on the fruits, and the seeds contained in them are passed out in the excrement or the droppings at various places. In some cases where the seed coats are hardy, the process of their passing through the digestive tract of animals, it causes the weakening of the seed coat due to action of digestive enzymes. So In this process, some animals also carry seeds and fruits. The dispersal of the fruits and seeds is facilitated, and this is also an example of mutualistic association. There are associations between animals themselves. Sometimes the association between animal and animal, for example, the termites which feed on wood, and the protozoan, the species of Trigonympha larva, which are present in their guts. The protozoan is Trigonympha, which help termites in digestion of cellulose, and in turn it obtain food and shelter from the termites. So this is the type of association in which their association is obligatory and both the species are benefited. Now the third type of example found in positive interaction is proto-cooperation. Proto-cooperation is the type of association in which both the species are benefited, but the association of the two species is not obligatory. Means it is not essential for the survival of either of the population. Such associations therefore are also referred to as non-obligatory mutualism. In this we can take example of sea anemone that remain attached to the shell of the hermit crab. The anemone is thus carried to the new feeding sites and also feeds on the leftover of the crab feed, and crab in turn is protected from its enemies by the nematocytes of the anemone. Means when they are in association, then only they will be benefited. Otherwise, both are free and they are independent. So these are some examples of positive interactions. We have discussed positive interactions where we have discussed about commensalism, mutualism, and proto-cooperation with examples. Thank you very much.